Okay, just to recap a little bit with what we did before, because I'm not quite sure that the sound was good enough. What we do with these methods of dealing with inappropriate emotions, it's that we first give the client a safe anchoring, that at any time, whenever they feel that they're going into the trauma, into the emotions that we don't want them to go, it's or the strong emotions, then we have an anchoring on our knuckle there, or safety. And how we do that is that we go back to a time where we felt absolutely safe, and in a place that we felt absolutely safe, 100% safe, and we go back to that memory in the past, in the present, if that's where they feel safer. And when they're there, when they feel 100% safe, then they have to feel what they felt, hear what they heard, and see what they saw, and really, really see that. And once they're there, you just anchor that safety on the knuckle or the ankle. You anchor yourself from yourself if you're doing the exercise yourself. So now, and you just keep the finger on the ankle until you know, or you feel that you are in the highest peak. Now, come back to the mouth, to the screen again. Breath, and now we go back again to strengthen the anchor. So again, go back to a memory where you felt absolutely safe, 100% safe. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt, and multiply it 10 times. And go back. Hold that when you are really at the peak of that feeling of safety, and then you release it, and it goes back forward. Now go back again. Just emphasize, amplify. So just as soon as you touch that knuckle, you feel that safety. So go back to a time where you felt absolutely safe, 100% safe. Feel what you felt, hear what you heard, see what you saw. And multiply that sensation of safety 30 times. Feel more safe before it goes down. Now that's anchoring in case you or your client feel that they need to come out, but they're not quite sure. They associate it too much with the emotion. Now we did the anger emotion before, and that's the first thing that no matter what needs to be done. After you dealt with one session with the anger, you're still with sadness. The next one is sadness. And so we're doing the same thing. If you miss again the explanation, it's anybody timeline is different, and depending on the person, you have to ask, where is the timeline? For example, it can be now in a linear way, or inside through them, or outside around them, or in different types. So what you do, you ask and you tell yourself right now, this exercise, where is your now at the present time, with your height, with your age, in the room where you are, wherever you are, it's the now. And position yourself in the now, in the present time. And then think of, um, if you had to know where your past future is, think of where the future is. And it can be linear, on a line, through you or around you, as long as it's linear, though it's still a linear thing. So it can be that future, and if you think where your past is, it can be on the back as far as you go. You can put those things on the floor like I showed on the first video, or you can just imagine it now. And we can do the imagination now on this second video and see how you do that. And then put the, if you have to think of a first event that you felt sadness, and it doesn't have to be a dramatic event, it's just the first time you felt sadness. 0 to 7 of age, that's where you first start. And if you don't remember, or your client doesn't remember, just say, imagine, if you were to imagine where your first event of sadness, where you felt that emotion of sadness is, where would it be? And it can be any time from 0 to 7 or even before, while in your mom's belly, you might feel those emotions, those hormones there. And now, from the now, imagine that you are still now, from the now, imagine to take a step off that timeline. So you're disassociated from that timeline. And then imagine walking back to the first event, still off that timeline, and looking above whatever age of sadness that you felt the first time you felt sadness. It can be, I don't know, the first time your pet died, 33 if you had a pet, or your grandparents, or somebody, or before, even at 2 years old. I had a client that was the first time felt that much sadness, I think, and pain. But it was sadness when she was 6 months old, and her actual biological father died, and she was in the car, and that's quite traumatic, quite painful, quite sad. Even though it was 6 months old and she didn't understand that. That's quite bad. So just think, so for your clients, whatever it is, or for yourself, that sadness doesn't have to be that traumatic. You don't want to go into that trauma. So from the offline, from above, look above and see, for example, that 6 months old that felt around him, her or him, so much sadness, and just think that you are the guru of that young 6 months old, and what advice can you give to that 6 months old? And it's all imagining, and that 6 months old is going to know, because it's all in the neurological part of the brain. So now, again, once you're above that, disassociated, just see what first learning you can do. For a 6 months old, feeling that much sadness is like, well, things at that time, it was appropriate to feel sad, because you know, your mother, everybody around you was sad, you know, because your father or your mother, your grandmother was sad, you know, and that was appropriate at that time. And now it's actually time to let go of that big sadness, um, you know, and so the learning has to be positive. So it's not big, we're not taking away the sadness of not having a father. It's taking away the immense storm of sadness that boy or that girl might have kept from 6 months, that it wasn't even felt directly by him, but it was all around him and therefore in there. And that sadness might be, you know, might have been from hidden from the anger. So that's why we do anger first. So sadness, just say that that sadness there, you know, it's not something that it's necessarily helping them to move forward now in this moment. And so key positive about that sadness, three key positive if they can. So if they find the first one, then ask, is anything else? And when they do find, or you do find another one, that say, ask yourself, is there anything else? And if there isn't, and if you find the three key positive learning, again, go step still from the timeline, of the timeline, go way before the first event. And in a case of as 6 months, and I know people that actually lost their father while the baby was born or the day before the baby was born, so there might be that that baby might have felt that sadness. So let's go back probably at the time of conception again, when you were a zygote, when there was no still emotion with the neurological part of your brain and the mother brain and the attachment of that. So let's go to that and then look and think of look at the first event and see if and ask yourself, has that emotion of sadness disappeared now? If it has disappeared, let's assume that it is gone. Then you actually go through up to the first event, through your timeline, so with your eyes associated with it, and see how you feel, and see how do I feel, and ask yourself, how do I feel differently now? Has the emotion totally disappeared now? And the now is important to know now. Now, if it does disappear, it's gone. Step back to the way before. Take one step on the side of the timeline. Travel back to the present day of your timeline only as quickly as you get rid of all the negative emotion on all the events till you reach the now. And all the events, that obviously is the event with the sadness this time. Pause at each event, which used to have an old emotion, which is the sadness one. See yourself in those events and give the younger version of you the gift of this unique learning, the three unique learning or two unique learnings, and notice how they allow those old emotions of sadness to disappear now. After you reach the now, and there might be some sadness at this time, if your client is grieving just now or is grieving something now, this is appropriate grieving, sadness. So just remind that sometimes you have to go through the grieving, through the sadness, and that's appropriate for that time. If it's something that they're carrying from way, way, way before, that's inappropriate. Yeah? Because it's not helping their body, their unconscious, their human being is not helping to live a normal life. So it's a different form of grieving at the moment, and go through it. You're not canceling and ignoring emotions. So test from the past. So imagine us now 6 months, for example, that sadness. How do you feel different now? And see how you feel different. And test for future times. And for example, if the same situation happens, and obviously if it is sadness, has to be way past that time when you went through the sadness. Day was appropriate time, and so it was way above ahead in the future, and see how you would feel different now. Again, remember that the emotions is the appropriateness of their emotions. Um, with anger, it can be all different emotions, with anger appreciation, but and again, the perfect time. So we're getting rid of that shame that goes from 6 months years old, 6 months old, for example, of and connecting to all the chains until the now. So we are breaking those chains. So whatever happens, the person has got a learning for and empowering actually for dealing with different situations in life. Now, for again, this was all imagined. So if you, instead of going through the steps again, you've done the steps with the first learning. So go now and do it with uh, imagining this. Okay, so as we have enough time for this recording, I will go in the same process again, with the same anchoring stick. Remember that anchor that you have, and you can touch it at any time to feel safe. Yeah, and as soon as I touch it, so we go back now to repeat this. So you can pause this, clear the screen a little bit, and start again. So we're starting, actually, I think I will take a really nice breath in and out, clearing and having a shower of white light under a waterfall, cleansing, clearing everything right now from above, ahead, all around, below the feet, fingers all around, cleansing, clearing the physical inside and outside, anything that worries us, that concern us, that you want to. Now, after the waterfall, still under the waterfall, bring it up all around, bring it down, but clearing the chakra, our midlines, any other chakra that we have, Anything that needs to be taken or is supposed to be taken, anything else to be taken into unconditional love and clear it all. Now under the waterfall or white light or just a waterfall, waterfall, clear and cleansing, clears up all around the sound. Our auric field, cleansing, clearing everything, starting outside and that worries us and that love and love is love. Whew, right, feels better, feels clearer and wider. Now, what I'm going to do is go to the same, exactly the same setting, anchoring the safety anchor if we need to. And we're going to use now the emotions of, and you can do it now, you can do another time. So you can pause it and then do it another time. So we're going to go with the fear. And again, in this it's the same method, but this time again we imagine the procedures. So after you've done the first thing, you know how it works. We imagine our first uh, the line. So we know where the now is. We know where our future is, our past is. Now remember where you are, as tall as you are, age that you are, in the room that you are, present at this time in age. And think of the first event that you felt here. Now again, it can be 0 to 7, or even before in your mother's belly. For example, I did feel it in my mother's belly, even, gosh, even at a month, 6 weeks. Uh, so, and hence I had to go in my first week of conception where the size of the cells, there is no neurological things yet there, and therefore there's strong emotion in there. My mom wasn't probably even thinking that she was pregnant or knowing that she was pregnant at that time. So it's a good thing to do. So that the fear is not yours, it's the first child was in your belly. And if not, there are other ways that people can deal with, and that's depending on time and stuff like that. So for now, we deal with the lineage again. So you know the now, you know your future, you know where the past is. The first event that you first felt fear. If you don't remember it, if you were to imagine what the first event of feeling that fear is, imagine that. And the first stage that comes in, let's go with that. Now, imagine you have take a step out of your timeline and be disassociated from the timeline and yourself right now. And walk, imagine to walk back to the first event, whatever age you were. And whatever age you were, imagine to look above whatever age you were, and to be the guru or the person that will suggest the your little self, your young self, and that what they can give them, what learning positive things they can give them. So again, ask yourself, imagine that you are a wise guru and have all the resources and all the skills you need to learn from this first event. The learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotion of fear. All learning must be positive and help the younger self to move forward. Your unconscious mind can retain this positive learning so that you need them in the future. You need them in the future, they will be there. So once you found a positive learning from that event of fear, whatever it is, ask yourself, is there anything else? Once you find the second positive learning, ask yourself again, is there? And if there isn't, fine, if there is, take that learning positive. Once you learn that positive learning, go walk back way before the first event. Whatever that first event was, walk back. So that if you walk back still in this life on the first week of perception. And obviously this is for the normal way of doing things. Yeah. Now look at the first event. Ask yourself now, when you think of that first event, as the fear totally disappears now. And usually the emotion, if it's the first event, or that was the first event, or you had all the learnings, it should disappear. If there is a complicated, then you'll start with that in another way. Now, from the before, walk through the timeline, see, associate if the emotional, the fears that completely disappeared, walk through the timeline, associate it with that, and ask yourself, how do I feel different now about this event, with all the learnings that I have? Has that old emotion disappeared now? Now, if has all disappeared and you see the event with those learning, positive learning, go back to before the first event. Have a step off the timeline again and walk back, travel back to the present day of timeline only as quickly as you can let go of all the negative emotions and all of the events that you reached now and the event of feeling sadness. Pause at each event which used to have an old emotion, the old emotion of feeling. See yourself in those events and give this younger version of yourself the gift of this unique learning, and notice how they allow these old events or emotion of fear to disappear now. Again, if you had only two learning, you need to add another learning with each event. You can do that. Now, when you are on the now, imagine that time in the past of that first event that you felt that, and how do you feel it different now? And the emotion of fear disappears completely. Again, future test it and think of a similar situation in the future. Well, there will be some fear, and there is, obviously it's not a danger fear, but it's an emotional fear that is not appropriate. and have those learnings for the future self as well, and see how you, you, you feel different now. And again, and that type of event was to happen in the future. Go there now and notice how you feel and act differently with the event. And that's much more of who you truly are. So usually yourself or your clients will see themselves in the future dealing with things with fear or the sadness or the anger in a complete different way. And and that empowers them to see themselves as loved, unconditional love and love creature. Um, so to see themselves different because they actually feel can have the power, they have the tool themselves with those three key learnings to deal with things that in the past they wouldn't be able to. So it's very useful for you to use it through the kind of psychotherapy. It's very useful for you and your family if you want to use it, your friends. Use it as much as possible before you can even go with your clients. Um, it's an amazing tool, and as I said, it was used with hypnotherapy, so I know it works well with psychotherapy. Next week, we're going to deal more with the other emotions, which will be uh, pain and it will be guilt. And then I will do an anxiety build tip again that can be done in the same thing as the timeline, but for the future, for meetings, for something that you have to do, that you're anxious about, something that you have to prepare for exams, for anything that, and that's very, takes about 10 minutes for that once you learn all this. Now, before I finish this one, again, I'm going to close down, and so you can do it, or it's up to you. I would do, after you've done so much, I would just clear my head and clear under waterfall again. So imagine yourself under a waterfall, clearing a waterfall of white light, clearing, or just a waterfall, clearing from above 2 meters above your head, all around 2 meters down, your physical inside and outside. Anything that you no longer need, anything that no longer serves you, anything that is needs to go, to be transmuted into unconditional love, or to be taken with. Now think under the waterfall again, that you are clearing and cleansing 2 meters out, all around, down your chakra, inside and outside, anything to be taken where it's supposed to be taken, anything else to be transmuted into unconditional love now. No corners of it, all the way to the experience. And again, shower white light or images above or waterfall all around images below, anything clearing off itself, anything to be taken where it's supposed to be taken, anything else. And again, not so light came through, and I feel much, much lighter and whiter. Now, we're going to close down as well. So that's what I would do with clients. At the end of the day, morning, So I imagine that on my crown, above my crown, a lot of light in there, and my third eye, like a dog, open back and front, a lot of invisible light. My throat chakra back and front, my heart chakra front. Remember always to work on the heart wherever you do this exercise. Make yourself alive. Close the door back and front. Solar plexus, close the door and lock it. Relock the lock back and front. And we put a shield at that. And then close the door of the sacral back and front along one side. And the root stays a little bit open, connecting the red energy of your chakra root down to the earth, connecting down. Imagine roots and anchors from the tailbone, the sole of the feet, connecting down to earth. And then imagine something. I usually imagine a golden Merkaba with a golden sphere or a golden pyramid, with the path all around, down, silver in. And inside it can be any color that you want, from the rainbow lights, just the lights, without any dark colors. I would go royal blue if you feel a little bit sensitive, and then the lights or any color of the right rainbow lights, whatever you feel. Flowers, stars, whatever. That's your space, your 2 meters of distance healing, a distance association, distance social, whatever. That's yours. And good things, good experience, and pure light essence to help you and protect. And well, I hope you enjoy those. For some reason or another, I have had problem with the webinars. I will try to put no password so anybody can actually come in without that password. Next week, I'll see you on the 23rd of May. The time I'm waiting and this is the week after it happens. Meanwhile, I just wish you all the best for the future, whatever you can do, whatever we're supposed to do, whatever we're allowed to do, all the best. And I hope to see you some of you in person. Bye bye.